Hey everybody, what's going on out there in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide land? I am the Schwantz27. I am going to be your host for this evening. We are going to be doing a Coliseum 2 practice race. Today we are doing Shadow's Ninja Star. And we are a few minutes away from our racing tonight, so let's go over what the Shadows Ninja Star entails as we pull up our wonderful racers rather on stream here. We've got one free fits in the upper left supporting the fabulous purple shrubbery there. Fly Eagles Fly on the road to victory, of course, with that gray and green. Well, that's fitting for a Philadelphia Eagles fan, of course. We have Ficta in the bottom right-hand corner with the purple, and I think that's a bit of a mauve color, or a mauve. Ooh, interesting. And we have JS 827 1986 in the standard blue and white here. And first thing off the bat, you'll notice on his screen that we've bumped the experience way up to 8x. Well, that is because the no split XP flag is actually off, which means that the XP will be split amongst the party members that are alive when the battle concludes. So it'll be interesting to see if any of our runners decide to go with parties of 3 instead of parties of 4 today. For Shadow's Ninja Star, we automatically start off with +5 Vigor and +5 Speed. And since this is a Coliseum seed after all, we do get a reward of the auto image status from winning a Coliseum battle, which is pretty powerful. That is essentially your calmness protection if you make it all the way up there in Final Kefka without taking a swing and a miss. Some other interesting tidbits about this particular flag set. There is one objective, and it is to let Cid die, and you'll get a high tier item. That one's pretty easy. You just fly to the isolated solitary island. You talk to Cid, come back 2 minutes later after you do a check, and he'll be dead because he loses 1 HP per second and has 120 HP. So that means you just got to do 2 minutes of nothing, and Cid will die. There's a 10x gold multiplier. You do get 50,000 starting gold, but you cannot sell any items. They are, you'll get 0 GP from selling items. So high gold multiplier, high starting gold, but you can't sell anything. YNPC is also set to remove. So this allows sequence breaks in our game, and we'll talk about that if one of them comes up. Then there is a challenge of no free characters and espers. So Shadow is one of the characters that we'll start off with, and he starts off with Throw because it is vanilla commands in the Coliseum seeds. So no free characters and espers. What that basically means is any check that's deemed a free check where you don't have to fight a battle will not reward you with a character or an esper. It will always be an item. And Gao's Manor fits into that category, so we'll see a high tier item coming out of Shadow's Gao Manor check. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with this flag set, especially the whole gold thing and the split XP. We'll see what our runners decide to do here. What do you think? Think we should start this up? Let's do it. So should be about another 10 or 15 seconds to start the race here. I am the Schwantz. Any questions, direct them at me. Any complaints, direct them at somebody who's not me. I'm totally kidding, by the way. You could do either or. It doesn't matter to me. When our racers get going, we'll see which characters they have, and it looks like we have started, so let's start this timer here. +5 Vigor and +5 Speed to everybody, as we mentioned before. We do have Realm and Edgar. Realm with Blitz, and Edgar with the Vanilla Tools. So we've got some pretty powerful abilities and synergies going right off the riff here. This is Worlds Collide, so it is the open world randomizer for Final Fantasy VI. But there is a concept in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide called character gating, and that basically means that we are limited to the world events by the characters that we have, and we currently have Shadow and Edgar and Realm. Shadow, as I mentioned before, has the Gao Manor as his free check. He also has access to the floating continent, which is a 3-part check in which you have to fight 2 forced encounters, three forced encounters and 2 bosses before landing on the continent as part of the part 1 of the check. And you also have to stay up on the floating island for the 2nd part and the 3rd part. The 1st and 3rd parts can guarantee progression, so there will be a character or an Esper up there guaranteed. So it will be interesting to see if anybody goes up there right away. It is very enticing with that guaranteed progression. We also have access to Cave on the Veldt, which you can peek the reward at before there. Little Minerva action going on in the Returner's hideout. So that is currently where one free Fitz is. Also picking up some dried meat and some elemental things to throw at people. So he's set and ready to go. When you have a powerful thing like Shadow to start off with, it's no wonder that we're going to use throw throughout most of the game. Meanwhile, JS 827-1986 is in the Figaro Castle. That is a Valiant Knife for Ficta coming out of Gao Manor. So that is a very powerful weapon. We'll see if anybody can yield that. In Vanilla, Locke can naturally equip that. In Worlds Collide, we have a natural Vanilla equip plus 33% extra. Also, a snow muffler going on from the Figaro throne. How cozy. So we'll see if that gets some action here. In the vanilla game, the snow muffler is only equipable by Umaro, but like I said, there's a 33% chance that anybody else can equip it. We're looking for some shurikens here, and with Y remove on, Ficta decides to go to World of Ruin Narsh and sequence break into the World of Ruin Narsh weapon shop, which is normally one of Locke's checks. Has a decision between a Cat Hood and a Minerva and decides on the Minerva. Cat Hood would have granted even more GP than the 10x that we are given per battle, and that is also a 7 battle curse shield, so we'll see if any of our runners decide to uncurse that shield. Once it does, it turns into the Paladin Shield, the most powerful defensive weapon in the game, absorbs 4 different elements and nullifies the other 4, so incredibly powerful. Unfortunately, in Worlds Collide, in this particular set of options, Ultima is set to off, so you cannot learn the Ultima spell from our Paladin Shield. So, with these characters here, I was mentioning earlier about Shadow's checks. Let's talk about Edgar's checks. We've already seen one of them, the Figaro Throne. That is considered no free progression, since you don't have to fight anything. And that is the presenter in the Monster in a Box, which have been shuffled amongst themselves here in Worlds Collide. So, if Houdat is around anywhere, he probably has somebody scratching at his ear because we're talking about him. So, the other checks for Edgar are in the World of Ruin. The South Figaro cave basement, or the Figaro throne, rather the Figaro Castle engine room. I don't know why that took me so long to get out there. And also the Ancient Castle. So, the Ancient Castle can only be accessed once we have completed the Figaro engine room check. Lastly, we have Realm in our party. Realm opens up 2 different checks, the first of which is in the World of Balance. It's Esper Mountain, where she crashes the party with Ultros 3 in the vanilla game, and in Owzer's Mansion in World of Ruin Jador, where we recruit her in the second half of the game. So those are the options that we have open to our runners here. We'll see where we decide to go. Noticeably, Ficta is in the World of Ruin South Figaro. If you have Edgar at the front of your party, you get half off of everything in the shop. And remember, since we can't sell anything for any money, and that is going to be extremely important there. JS is heading down into the basement of South Figaro, where there's a bunch of treasure. We'll see if he gets any goodies out of here. Fly Eagles Fly over in the Returner's hideout, picking up that other Minerva. So there is one in the Narsh weapon shop that we sequence broke, and there's also one in the Returner's hideout. I believe I saw... I forget what it was. Oh, a dragon horn on JS's screen down in the basement. So, between both of the South Figaros, World of Balance and World of Ruin, there are different chests in the outer section of the town, but down in the basement and inside of all of the houses, the chests are the same. So they can only be looted once, and they're the same for all of our runners here. Fly Eagles Fly must not realize that the Y remove is on, because I would have yeeted the hell out of this guy out of my way already. Come on, move, dude! So, Minervas are naturally equipable by Celeste and Terra. We don't have either of those, but again, there is a 33% chance it's something else. And the Valiant Knife is equipable by Edgar, so we'll probably see him doing that all seed. Shadow has Throw, and Realm has Blitz. And Blitz is one of the commands that is based off of your magic power for the majority of the different Blitz inputs. The ones that are not, those are Pummel and Suplex. Those are based off of your strength or vigor stat. But with Realm having Blitz and Realm having one of the highest magic powers in the game, that's a good command to see here. We're about 7 minutes in. There's usually about looting and shopping for the first 10 minutes of any Worlds Collide seed. But with all of the power that we've accumulated so far, I'm expecting to see us doing some checks very soon. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of checks that we have available to open to us that do have forced encounters of enemies, right? All of our runners are on level 3. One Free Fitz decides, I'm going to take off that Moogle Charm and do some grinding here in the basement, so that this way he can get off of level 3. We'll see if any of our other runners decide to do that. We also have the Floating Continent as an option with enemy encounters that are required, and we have Owzer's Mansion, which has 2 forced encounters and several optional encounters within the mansion there before you get to the boss. Fly Eagles Fly going the long way around here, and it does seem that we do have a drill for Edgar, which is very nice. Drill is one of the more powerful tools there. It ignores physical defense. Ooh! Chimera not playing around here on Fitz's screen. Also, interesting thing to note is that for Kefka's Tower skip in this particular set of options, we need to defeat 12 bosses. So I will be counting up the bosses that our runners decide to defeat here. And as they get accumulated, once they get closer to 12, we'll see if anybody decides to go for the skip. Fitz revives his 2 dead allies and decides to take another grind here. JS, meanwhile, is going to be sequence breaking into Mount Zozo. This is normally only available as a Cyan check. However, you could Y remove the Rust Rid on the door, and wow, that's an experience egg in a chest right there. That is huge. I don't know how many people are going to be getting at that this early in the game. Experience egg, one of the most powerful relics in the game, will double the XP of any user that is wearing it. So that is a huge pickup there from JS. We'll see if he decides to take the optional dragon here. And there is a reward at the end of Mount Zozo as Edgar is down yet again on Fitz's screen. This is not a fun encounter. However, the Lich and the Apparite are both undead, so you can just throw a Revivify or a Phoenix down at them and make them go away. Now, another interesting thing, remember when I said about split XP? Both Edgar and Realm have been dying over and over again, so Shadow actually got the majority of that XP, and with the XP level at times 8, that is huge XP for him early. He's already at level 13 on his Shadow. So it looks like JS is gearing up here to potentially take on this dragon. We'll see which one it is. In this version of options, the dragons are shuffled amongst themselves, so we may not see the vanilla dragon here, which I think is the storm dragon. Somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. So Posumorpheus says that both Shadow and Edgar can use the Valiant Knife. I would tend to throw that on Edgar, because Shadow is going to be using the throw command basically all seed. It is one of the most powerful commands that you could have. It's good early, mid, and end game, because weapons will deal the same damage from the back row. And oh, that's an insta-wipe there for JS, coming up against the blue Durgan there in Mount Zozo. Yeah, so throw will do the same amount of damage from the back row. It ignores defense, and it deals double damage for every single weapon that you throw. It is an extremely powerful statistic there. Rage Ring in a chest, and speaking of the Rage Ring, it is the Yeti Umaro there at the end of Mount Zozo. What is he writing love, or who is he writing love letters to? Ooga Booga, I am Yeti. Hear me, Yeti? I don't know, what do Yetis sound like? Those would be some interesting letters to read for sure. So JS is our first runner with a fourth character now. Remember I talked about split XP. Let's see if JS decides to put Umaro into the party or not. Umaro could actually be a really good shout for the Coliseum, because remember, as I said, you get the auto image status for your entire party at the start of every battle if you win a Coliseum fight. And with the Yeti's extremely high both defense and offensive prowess, plus his body slam maneuver, he would be a good call to head into the Coliseum. 120 out of the 256 items in the Coliseum are visible within this flag set, so that means you'll see what the reward is for whatever item you bet. And all of the enemies that you have to fight for those items are also randomized. Meanwhile, Fly Eagles Fly looks like they're going to be taking on our first boss of the seed here at Esper Mountain. It is an imp sprite running around. This means that it is not a character. It's either an Esper or an item. And with the no free progression flag on, this is most likely an Esper here. It is number 24. Thank goodness it's not Magimaster. However, this shouldn't pose that much of a threat here to our group. JS 8/27/1986, I believe, is on the way to the floating continent here, and he does not have the Yeti in the party, opting to go with a 3-person party because he assumes, and correctly so, that he will not be using the Yeti towards his final battle here. So, like I said, 3 forced encounters here, and then 2 bosses. So, Floating Continent, even though it's a 3-part check, you actually fight 4 bosses, which is palpable in this flag set, because remember, you do get a Kefka Tower skip at 12 bosses. So, this is a great long way. It's a long gameplay here. He's going to defeat more bosses. Coliseum dip for 1 free fits. He's our first runner in here. And we do see some of the things here. That's a red jacket for that Dragon Horn, a Magus Rod for that Wing Edge. Ooh, Experience Egg for Blizzard, so he's going to go for it. So in the Coliseum, even though Shadow has Throw, the Coliseum AI will never choose the Throw ability. Thankfully, this is a pretty easy enemy. Unfortunately, it is undead, and this is not going to work on him. Oh, goodness. This might be a reset here for Fitz. But he does know that that Blizzard item for an Experience Egg is in here. Yeah, you can't run out of the Coliseum, buddy. You're kind of stuck in there. So he'll have to reset, switch weapon that Shadow has on. Hopefully he saved before this. Meanwhile, it is the Cranes at JS's screen here. Giving his party a bit of trouble here. Hopefully he gets out of it. Ficta does defeat his first boss there and gets a piece of Magicite for a reward. That is a pretty good one with Shote. Not only good Esper summon for the final battle, but I saw it had Cure 3 and a tier 2 elemental spell on it, so very nicely done there. JS trying to get his party up against the Cranes, so one of the Cranes will absorb lightning, and one of the Cranes will absorb fire. How I like to remember this with the mnemonic device, left loves lightning. So don't use lightning on the left Crane, and don't use fire on the right Crane. Fly Eagles Fly also getting past his first boss check of the game, and getting his first piece of Magicite as well, because we just saw that from Ficta. Alright, so Fitz has reconfigured his party. It looks like he's heading back into the Coliseum. I do have to point out that I like on JS's screen that this is the vanilla background for the Cranes, because we are on an outside spot there. And Easy peasy does it. Blizzard for experience egg. Let's go, Fitz. And he gets the auto image status complete. Unfortunately, Fly Eagles Fly either doesn't have a warp stone or just wants this treasure here. And is taking the long way out. Ficta is in the other check of Realm here, Owzer's Mansion. Oh, the Chitinoid. You hate to see it. Chitinoid will sneeze your party off the screen, and that means you've just lost that item that you've bet. It looks like Fitz is going to try again, this time with the Wing Edge, which can proc instant death, but Chitinoid can still sneeze you off as his death counter. So that behemoth suit might be a little bit of a lost cause there. First boss down for JS there with the cranes. You get an automatic heal falling into the next boss, and that is a flying Yeti through the sky. A flying dabbing Yeti, in fact. Pretty crazy. Umaro weak to fire. I don't know if we've learned the fire dance blitz yet, but that would be the way to go. He is throwing out some fire skins there, which is good. Bolt 2 and Cure 3 and Warp and Flare. So that's a really nice spell for both Fly Eagles Fly and Ficta here. So if you like what you're seeing, ff6wc.com is our website. There's also a link to our Discord in case you want to get started in running races of your own. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I will try to answer them if I know. Otherwise, somebody smarter than me will post the answer in the chat, and I'll regurgitate it on screen and claim it as my own, because that's how I roll. Meanwhile, Ficta having trouble with this Figalitz. I believe using the Pummel ability is the way to go here, because they have very high defense, and Pummel actually cuts through and ignores defense. That is an Esper on the ground there for JS at the end of the first part of the Floating Continent. Meanwhile, one free Fitz is heading to the Magitech factory, and you may say, hey, wait, we don't have Celis. No problem, we just yeet that guy out of the way and we can get right into the Magitech factory. I like this play here, as it is a 3-part check with 4 bosses, very similar to the Floating Continent. Ice 3, Magic Power +1 on that Esper. That's great to see, going right on Realm. That's a soldier sprite over on Ficta's screen, so that means that this is not a character. It's either an Esper or an item. And it is Haydn and the Haydnites here. Ficta notably is, I think, the only runner that went to see what the curse shield was. And with 7 battles, I would be uncursing it as well. 7 is a nicer number than what it is in vanilla. Fitz pulling out an Illumina from a chest here in the Magitech factory. Wow. So you do have to sequence break to get in here. So that's a great pickup for Fitz. That's a great item for Edgar to use, although I think he's already using the Valiant Knife. So we'll see if he decides to switch the Valiant Knife off to somebody else, or perhaps wait until he gets his 4th character, and that 4th character can use the Illumina with Shadow doing Throw and Realm doing Blitz. Fly Eagles Fly is also on the Floating Continent journey here. So, shout out to Arusta in chat for letting me know. Appreciate all the help I can get here. Many eyes are better than just my own. And it is Ultros and Chupon, so Fitz didn't have enough sneezes with Chitinoid in the Coliseum. He also wants to get sneezed here in battle. And that is Ficta's 2nd boss of the seed down with Haydn and the Haydnites. And we'll see what the reward is here. Chupon weak to ice. I don't think we've learned any ice spells yet, so that is not going to be useful in this fight. That is the Pallador Esper for Ficta. And since the no free progression flag is on, the auction house will not have any Espers, so there is no point in going to check. Deciding to pick up an Air Anchor there, because we do have Edgar with tools. Air Anchor will cast instant death on whatever enemy you use the Air Anchor on the next turn of that enemy. Meanwhile, it is a, I guess, vanilla extract Atma at the Atma weapons spot. This is very strange. This is tripping me out. I don't know if I like this. That's another piece of Magicite Odin for Fitz. Not great not great spells on it, rather, but that is a good Esper summon. Instant death for the parts of the final battle. Unfortunately, Atma absorbs all of the non-standard elements, and that includes Pearl, of which Aura Bolt is a Pearl-type spell. So that's why you see him using Pummel. And Choo Choo, we got a Ghost Train, and we also have Realm with Blitz. Can we see the suplex? Give it to us, Fitz. Let's see it. No, he's using Pummel. Oh, man. We're going to have to grill Fitz about this afterwards for sure. Oh, you hate to see it. JS, however, getting past his first boss, or rather getting past his third boss of the seed. Second on the floating continent. That is another Magic Power +1 Esper with Mute on it, with the Ramu Esper. Yeah, you got to if you have it, you got to suplex the train. Instant death is acceptable, but suplexing the train is the way to go. He gets 0 out of 10 meme points. JS getting yeeted off of the statue there, or the Warring Triad, and this is the third part of the floating continent. 2 forced encounters and 1 boss, but you can actually YMPC remove the star here and not fight the boss. So we'll see if JS decides to do that. I personally wouldn't in this particular seed, because you do get the Kefka Tower skip at 12 bosses, so there's no point in getting rid of the boss there. One free Fitz has forfeited the seed by killing the Ghost Train without doing the suplex, but he is going to get a reward. And we'll see if he continues on the Magitech train. Ooh, that is a juicy Esper too. That is Fenrir with Bolt 3 and Flare and Ice 3 and Berserk. Wow. That is insane. So, question from the chat. Am I remembering this correctly? Can't you just Phoenix down the Ghost Train? Well, in Worlds Collide, there is an option to turn the undead property of bosses on or off. And in this particular set of options, the boss undead property is actually off. So you cannot just use a Phoenix down or Revivify on the Phantom Train, or the second phase of Super Behemoth, or on Haydn and the Haydnites here. As we have Fly Eagles Fly taking down the first boss of the first part of the floating continent. Oh, level check on JS's screen with Doomgaze, and he passes with flying colors. One free Fitz is going to continue onward through the Magitech factory. That's a Thunder Shield for Ficta, taking out his first dragon there. And he did also pick up the experience egg that that JS found very early on in the seed. He's also going to pick up a Yeti. We'll see if he decides to keep the Yeti in the party, because remember, in this set of flags, there is split experience between party members. So we'll see how many of our runners decide to go with a party of 3 versus a party of 4. Our bottom runners are the only ones that have found a 4th character. JS decided Yeti is not coming in the party. He's a much better airship driver, and we'll see if Ficta decides the same. Nope. Umaro is coming into the party. As I mentioned earlier, he might be very good for doing the Coliseum play, because if you win a Coliseum battle in this flag set, you get the auto image status at the start of every battle. So you'll see one free Fitz has auto image at the start of each of his fights. He also ended up finding an experience egg for a Blizzard there, so he's the second runner with an experience egg, and JS is resetting on Doomgaze. Yikes. When was the last time he saved? Okay. He saved right before Toilet Atma, so we're going to subtract the boss, and we're going to subtract the Magicite from his total. He's going to have to fight Atma again. Meanwhile, Fly Eagles Fly was going to add both the boss and Magicite onto his total. And it's Dadaluma as the first boss in the last half of the Magitech factory. Yeah, another question from the chat about why NPC remove. It did start out as an April Fool's Day gag, where you could just remove characters or remove whatever NPCs are on the screen, but it had the interesting side effect of being able to sequence break into different things that were blocked off by an NPC. So Ficta is heading down and doing the Edgar checks, but if we did not have Edgar, Siegfried actually blocks this path for this particular check. So you could actually remove the Siegfried sprite out of the way, and you could do the Edgar stuff without having him in your party. Same goes for Mount Zozo, and there are doors in this game that are considered NPCs, one of which is the rusted door in Mount Zozo. So you could actually get into Mount Zozo without having Cyan in your team, and that is Go-Go. And Fitz is going to add Go-Go to the party. So now we've got a throw go. Very, very nice. And oh, JS takes a wipe to Atma. A boss he had already defeated. This floating continent is no joke. The first two bosses not so bad with Cranes and Umaro, but then doing a vanilla extract Atma at the Atma weapon spot, and then Doomgaze at the very end. Oh, speaking of difficult bosses, down on the engine pasta, I'm pretty sure that's a Magimaster, because we've already seen number 24. Number 24. This is definitely Magi. So lots of difficult bosses right now on screen. Rexol is also no slouch. Unlike in the vanilla game, there is no zinger concept. So Rexol does not possess one of your characters. You do not have to take your characters down to critical HP. But that also has the side effect of you can't use the insta-death Odin or Raiden summon strat in order to end this fight very quickly. So this becomes a pretty difficult and annoying fight, because Rexol is very high magic defense. But with a throw character, we cut through that magic defense, and One Free Fitz is done through all 4 bosses in the Magitech Factory. Excellent job. Good on him. Yeah, some rude bosses so far. We'll see if JS gets past Atma for the second time. Fly Eagles Fly. I don't think he knows that Atma is here yet. I'm pretty sure he's at the same save point. I always go for the save point right before the airship, just in case I run into this very problem where I lose to either the third or fourth boss on the floating continent. So now that JS knows that it's Doomgaze there, we'll see if he decides to YMPC remove that little star, because you can do that to bypass the boss, and you will still get the reward at the end of the floating continent. That is, I think, $59,000 on One Free Fitz screen for the Esper and Tizen. It is a different price in the World of Ruin, as Ficta does get past Magimaster with the throw ability and some pummel sprinkled on the side with some drill. All things that ignore defense, because Magimaster has extremely high defense. So that is both Esper and boss number 3 there for Ficta. And with Umaro playing dead, his XP is actually split amongst the 3 living members, so you get more XP per character that way. JS is 2 for 3 against Toilet Atma now. Yeah, so I was mentioning with YMPC, it works on certain doors. So the doors that are locked for when the castle is going back and forth to Coliseum here with the ancient castle, you could actually save some time and break into the ancient castle without the cutscene. JS decides that he is not going to continue on the floating continent. So perhaps he doesn't realize that you could use YMPC remove to get rid of the star at the end of the floating continent to not fight Doomgaze. But he completed 2 out of the 3 of the floating continent section, but he did defeat 3 bosses. So that's still not bad. And you know what? Knowing that Doomgaze is there is also great, because he doesn't have to worry about it for the rest of the seed. What level am I? Doesn't matter, because I'm not going to get insta-killed right away. One Free Fitz is heading into Esper Mountain. where we know it is an Esper. And I hate when checks do this. You go in the door one way, but you go out of the door a different way. I know that there are some OCD people out there that are nodding their head in agreement to that statement. And this is where number 24 is. That's another boss down for Fly Eagles Fly, so he'll get another piece of Magicite and another boss kill. Very nice. Meanwhile, Ficta heading down into the Ancient Castle. So interestingly enough, the Ancient Castle does not have a boss at the end of it. It does have an optional dragon. However, we do have 2 opportunities for a monster in a box for that offering. Fire 3 on that Madwin Esper. Very nice as well. The Espers have been very, very good this seed in terms of the spells that they've been teaching. Lots of good ones all over the place. So it looks like Ficta is going to be going for a potential monster in a box here. And this is not the monster in a box we want to see. We're looking for Katana Soul, because Katana Soul is the one that drops the offering. And also drops a boatload of money. So we're watching the Shadow Ninja Star flag set from the second Coliseum here, as Fitz is going up to the floating continent. JS defeats his 4th boss and gets his 3rd piece of Magicite there. So some special things about Shadow's flag set is that XP is split amongst your living party members. However, the experience factor is 8 times instead of the normal, I believe it's 3. And there's a Strago down in Ancient Castle. We'll see if Strago gets added. He has his vanilla lore as well. In Worlds Collide, you learn lores not by seeing them by the lore user, but by anybody in the party. So even if Strago's not in the party, he could still learn lores that are cast. And this is the White Dragon for Ficta. It's the second one that he's taken on. Other tidbits about the Shadow flag set is that you start with 50,000 gold, but you can't sell items for any money. Instead, you have to fight fights for it, fight enemies or mobs for it, and the GP multiplier is 10 times instead of the normal 5. Fly Eagles Fly getting his level check over here for Doomgaze. We'll see if he passes with flying colors. It is a gem box as the reward for that dragon there. Normally, that would be 30,000 GP, but not in this flag set. It is a ghost sprite for JS, and we already know that this is an Esper down here at Ancient Castle, and he's going to pick up his 5th character. Remember, we do still have to get to 6 characters and 9 Espers to unlock Final Kefka. So that's the goal of this randomizer, in case anybody's wondering what the heck's going on here. First boss for Fitz, and we know it's the Cranes. Second boss is Umaro. And Ficta has found his Katana Soul for that Valiant Knife. And we do have a Noise Blaster, so we could do this the the vanilla way, except Edgar's dead. So, yeah, get him back up, and let's try this again. Doomgaze, unlike in the vanilla game, doesn't actually run away in Worlds Collide, although there is a flag that you could set on to allow Doomgaze to run away. I don't even know what would happen in that case. Would you just win the battle if Doomgaze runs away? That's kind of strange. But anyway, Doomgaze has a ton of HP, because normally you're supposed to fight him over multiple times, and you're fighting him just this once with all of his HP combined. He is weak to Pearl. We do have Aura Bolt, which will be great for that. And here is JS up against Magimaster, so we'll see what if JS can pull through here. Meanwhile, that's Katana Soul dead for Ficta. Katana Soul does not offer any experience, but 25 magic points. More importantly, he gives us the offering, which is great for our Valiant Knife users. So, Ficta is the only one of our runners to have that so far. JS could potentially get it if he didn't get the floor mopped out underneath him by Magimaster. So Ficta here is using the cutscene of the Coliseum moving the castle around, but you could actually YMPC remove the door in order to get out of the castle without having to go through this cutscene. The problem is the castle will still be buried underground in the World of Ruin, so you can't actually access the castle anymore. It's a bit of a mind-blowing trick there. So Fly Eagles Fly does get past Doomgaze, and we'll see what the reward is at the end of the floating continent. It is Mog! So that is his fourth character. We'll see if he decides to bring him in. Does have Sword Tech. So he does decide to add Mog to the party. That is Fitz's 7th boss and 4th piece of Magicite. So just by the numbers here, both Ficta and Fitz have 8 pieces of progression. Both Fly Eagles Fly and JS have 7 pieces of progression. But Fitz is definitely in the lead in terms of bosses with 7. Unfortunately, the monster in a box on the floating continent is just a Master Pug that drops a greatest sword, or knife rather, which is not something we want. If we were allowed to sell items, then maybe I could see getting it because it's worth about 15 to 20 grand. But in this seed, since you can't sell anything, there's absolutely no point in getting it. So Ficta deciding to go forward with a party of 4 here into the floating continent. JS is actually taking some of the optional fights here in Bowser's Mansion, getting grabbed by that painting. Maybe perhaps he's thinking, I don't really have great levels, that's why I'm dying to several bosses over and over again. So I like this by JS trying to catch up, because remember, the scaling in Coliseum flags is 2.5 times your progression instead of a normal 2, which is what runners are used to from the Ultra Sleek set of standards. Meanwhile, Fly Eagles Fly does remember to trigger Lone Wolf before going up to the top of Narsh. So he'll get the reward at the Lone Wolf, plus the option to do Kefka at Narsh. We'll see if he decides to go there. Fitz is up against his Vanilla Bean Toilet Atma at the Atma weapon position here. And JS is continuing to fight some random stuff in Bowser's Mansion. We do know that this is a piece of Magicite at the end of this. Meanwhile, Ficta deciding to take the trek up to the floating continent. Again, this is a smart move in this flag set because there are 4 bosses up here, even though it is 3 checks. So with the skip at 12 bosses, it makes sense to do checks that reward bosses. It is an imp on Fly Eagles Fly's screen, so that means it is an Esper or an item here that Lone Wolf is hiding. What is the other option? You'll never get this Valiant Knife. Well, we already have a Valiant Knife, so I don't think we need another one. Let's grab our imp, and let's see what it is. You could always go back and get that Valiant Knife later in the World of Ruin, where you recruit Mog in the vanilla game, and that is the Golem Esper for Fly Eagles Fly. That is a great find for him there. One of the Espers that you want for the final Kefka battle, another great Esper with Magic Power +1 and Fire 3. Golem will protect you from an instant death special attack that Tier 3 does called Calmness. So, very nice to see that one. Alright. We've got the part where Kefka is interrupting the statues, yeets them off, and we'll see how JS handles our Haydn and the Hyde Knights here. Fly Eagles Fly, meanwhile, is going to do the Kefka at Narsh stuff, where you split up your party. That is a ghost sprite, so that means that this is not a character either. It's probably an Esper, given the no free progression flag. Golem also has mute on it. Thank you, Theo. I did not see. I know we had mute on another Esper as well. So lots of great spells in this seed. And then, of course, starting with Shadow with Throw, getting a Valiant Knife early, and Realm with Blitz. Good stuff. Victor taking out his second boss there in the Floating Continent. So he will be getting his piece of Magicite there. So on one free Fitza screen, those are the movers, I believe. They have very high evade, and they have very high physical and magical defense. But Throw ignores defense, Pummel ignores defense, and Drill ignores defense. So this fight is not so bad. Fly Eagles Fly, unfortunately, I think he was trying to go for a soldier skip and did not manage it. These Fossil Fangs are undead, so you could just use Revivifies on them. The enemies, mobs, can be killed with a Revivify or Phoenix Down if they're undead. Just the bosses cannot be. Go-Go does not pass the level check on Fitz's screen. That's rather unfortunate. But what is rather fortunate is that Pearl proc there from that Illumina. As I mentioned, Doomgaze is weak to Pearl, so that's why that was a 5,000 damage proc there. Very nice. Haydn is weak to Fire, Pearl, and Earth. You don't really have any Earth spells except for the Torado Summon, really, or some of the Rages. So most of the time we're just using Fire and Pearl on Haydn. Very annoying boss because he likes to use a lot of poison attacks. And some of the Haydn Knights can inflict some nasty status ailments like Zombie and Confuse. Victor taking on his Atma, Toilet Atma here. JS does get past Haydn and the Haydn Knights there at Owser's Mansion. Good to see him get back on his feet there after stumbling a little bit, running into Doomgaze, running into Atma Weapon and not killing it, then running back into Atma Weapon, beating it, and then running into Magimaster and dying. So he's had a rough go the past couple of minutes in this seed. So, smart call by him to take some grind fights, because levels are the numero uno, number one most important thing in Worlds Collide. The more levels you have, the more damage everything does. And the more defense you have, too. Although we don't really talk much about defensive strategies in Worlds Collide. It's usually just a DPS race. Can you damage the boss faster than it can damage you? Boss number 9 dead for Fitz, and that is Sword Tech Mog. He is deciding to stick with the party, though. Drogo, very OP. And Edgar's got that Illumina, right? So we don't necessarily need to have Mog in the party right now. Victor takes down his Atma Weapon and gets Magicite number 5. So he's all tied up with Fitz in terms of progression. Fly Eagles Fly getting to the end of Kefka at Narsh and seeing that it's Narapa. Narapa is susceptible to instant death, so if we had that air anchor, we could use it here. Unfortunately, always has Reflect on, so you can't use Doom. You have to use X-Zone instead. Fitz going back into the Coliseum there. Is he going to try and go for the Behemoth suit again? No, he's going for the egg. Smart play. You do get an Elemental Sword drop from killing number 24. So I wonder if he got a Blizzard from killing number 24, and he's going to grab another Experience Egg out of the Coliseum. It's a little bit late in the seed, but it's never bad to have Experience Eggs. It does double the amount of leveling that you could do. And remember, in this seed where XP is split, it always helps to have more experience than you need. That is the Phoenix Magicite there for Fly Eagles Fly, taking down Narapa. Didn't get a chance to see what was on it yet. As Fitz is heading into Jador, we know that this is a Magicite. And we know that Haydn's at the end of this for here. So while our runners are tracing all over each other, let's talk about the Coliseum too a little bit. It is a 1v1 tournament. You could sign up using the Google form. I believe signups are open until the end of the week. So make sure you sign up if you're interested in it at all. The rules and info are in that Google Doc there. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to enter these events, even if you're newer to the community. It will allow you to get to talk with other racers about what their strategies were for the same seeds that you went through, and it'll help improve your game and make you a much better runner. Peros says, make sure you sign up. I'll see myself out. No, you could always be punny in the stream. So Ficta's going to grab his Mog after defeating his 7th boss there at the end of the floating continent. Grabbing Sword Tech and debating on whether or not to swap out for Yeti. Decides against it. Jas, meanwhile, landing outside of Vector. So this could be a sequence break into the Magitech Factory. As I mentioned, Magitech Factory has 4 bosses in this 3-part check. I believe that was 9,000 damage that Edgar just did. Jeez, he's getting swole. A swoly boy. Victor, meanwhile, is doing the Lone Wolf sequence, so we know he's going to come out with 2 Espers of this, if he decides to do Kefka at Nars as well. We'll see how far JS goes into the Magitech Factory. If he does all 3, he'll get 2 Espers and a Go-Go. FF6WC.com is our website. It's also got a link to the Discord where we could help you with anything you need. So be sure to check out the website there. I wish I had the Coliseum promo queued up. I don't have it on me at the moment. And I don't want to send the stream into a stutter by trying to get it, so... Alright, so where is Fly Eagles Fly going? It looks like he's going to be doing the Edgar sequence of checks in the World of Ruin here. Just as a note, if you use the Y button, like he was just using there to strafe with your airship, you cannot run into Doomgaze. You can only run into Doomgaze when you use the A button to fly your airship around. Just a little tip for you. Victor choosing correctly. He chose wisely, and he grabs his Golem Magicite. Oh no, did Fly Eagles Fly's feed drop off? Let's see if I can get him back. Meanwhile, that is a boss done and a Palador Esper for Fitz. That is a boss done and a Odin Magicite for JS. Yeah, let's see if we could punch Fly Eagles Fly back in here. Because it looks like he is up according to my my stuff. There we go. Boom. Ah, oh, that was so close. I wanted that to work so badly. There we go. Look at that. Professional restreamer. Punch him right back in. It is the Cave in the Veldt time for 1 free Fitz. This is a new check for us. You can actually peek and see what it is on the ground before you fight the boss. Let's see if JS is the people's champ and gives us the suplex we all need. Or maybe he did it. Kilbasiago chiming in about his family problems. It's all good, Keel. I'm keeping the seat warm for you. I'm pretty sure that's a boss dead for Ficta. Yep, and that's another piece of magicite for him. There it is, JS with the suplex. Run has been validated. And that was the suplex to kill the train as well. He's doing it in style there, baby. Fly Eagles Fly, meanwhile, is in the World of Ruin Narsh. So this is how you could pick up the item that you drop at Lone Wolf, is to go back in World of Ruin Narsh, head behind where Arvis's house is, and you can go where you can recruit Mog and Vanilla in order to grab this. Meanwhile, One Free Fitz finds an Esper on the ground, and he finds Fun Baba guarding that Esper on the ground. Yep, so Lone Wolf will run away. We get that Valiant Knife. There's actually the hidden Moogle Charm treasure chest, quote-unquote, is actually in the ground there, too. So you can actually pick that up while you're back there. Yeah, JS is our first runner to validate their run. And Fitz has been disqualified, so even though it looks like he's got 10 bosses with 5 characters and 6 Espers. I'm kidding. So Ficta is heading up in World of Ruin Narsh because he did not see a character hiding in the Yeti cave. So that means that it is either an Esper or an item up here. We could also do Tritalk, which is only an Esper or an item. And there's an optional dragon as well. So Fly Eagles Fly and Ficta heading up here. Notably, Fly Eagles Fly does not have Umaro, where Ficta does. So Fly Eagles Fly, unfortunately, will not be able to hop down into the Yeti cave to do that part of the check. So after you complete the check at the Cave on the Veldt, you actually end up in World of Ruin Thamasa, just like you do in the vanilla game. So Fitz is using that opportunity to both loot the town, there are 6 chests in this town, and to do some shopping along the way, picking up some additional throwables. It is the gold Durgan here for Ficta. He's got the Valiant Knife offering online as well. Dadaluma with the gooseneck arm pose here for JS as boss number 1 on the last part of the Magitech factory. Indiana Jones Fun Minecart Ride Spectacular, and that is Dadaluma dead, so that's boss number 8 for him. Little save action, and another dragon down for Ficta. Fly Eagles Fly is also going to fight this dragon. I did not see what the reward for the dragon was. I looked away just a split second beforehand. Ice Shield in that Narsh shed. So Fitz is going to be doing the Lone Wolf and Kefka at Narsh trek. So he's going to be in Esper Go mode. He'll just need to find his 6th character. We know where a few of them are. Ficta has Strago and Umaro. Meanwhile, Fitz has Gogo from the end of the Magitech factory. So there are options open for us. Umaro is at the end of Mount Zozo, which we sequence broke. And Strago was down in the ancient castle. So at one of Edgar's checks. Meanwhile, it is another Vanilla Bean, Kefka at Narsh, but in the wrong Narsh world at the Tritalk spot. So that's character number 5 for JS with Gogo at the end of the Magitech factory. One free one free, I almost said Smits. One free Fitz intelligently lets the Lone Wolf drop down. Bismarck is the Magicite for Ficta. So he gets past another boss. Bismarck is one of the only Espers, I think, in this entire seed that didn't look too appealing. Is that an Illumina as the reward for killing the Gold Dragon? Yes, it is. Ficta deciding to warp out there. Very interesting. I would have thought he would have dove into the Yeti Cave. Did Fitz not do Kefka at Narsh either? No, he did not. Very strange... Very strange decisions here by some of our runners. Some things that I necessarily wouldn't have done. Looks like Ficta is taking off the Moogle Charm to doing some grinding outside here. JS in the Cave in the Veldt sees an Esper on the ground and decides that he wants it. Fly Eagles Fly is going to fight the Kefka at Narsh, but in the wrong world. At the Tritox spot and get his 6th Esper. Oh, looks like Ficta's going to buy his last Esper, 38,000. And it is Stray. So, Ficta is now in go mode. However, he only has 9 bosses defeated. So, he cannot do the skip unless he defeats a few more bosses. So we'll see if he decides to get some bosses out of the way here before going into the tower, or if he just decides to dive right in. So, the Kefka Tower skip can save you anywhere from, like, 5 to 8 minutes, depending upon whatever the boss is at Inferno, right? Because you fight the boss at Inferno, and then you do a bunch of walking, and then you've got your skip. Couple of boss deaths there for both JS and Fly Eagles Fly. As I mentioned, Fly Eagles Fly does not have Umaro, so he can't go down into the Yeti Cave. Ficta, however, is going to go down into Kefka's Tower. He's our first runner in. What time is he at here? Well, just about 59 on the dot. One free Fitz does take out the Blue Dragon in Mount Zozo. Remember, you can sequence break into Mount Zozo. Theo indicates in the chat that Ficta overloaded his second team. So that means that he's probably going to take this boss. Nope. Maybe not. I thought he overloaded Team 2 to take Toilet Atma. So he overloaded his party for party number 3, rather. So that means he's going to fight Inferno. He's going to fight the Guardian spot, the Poltergeist spot, and that will get him to 12 bosses. And then what he'll do is he'll probably warp out to the statues and put 2 members of his strongest party on the left side and 2 members of his strongest party on the right side. So this is a very safe strategy that Ficta is employing here for Kefka's Tower. Meanwhile, Fitz does come up with character number 6 with our Umaro at the end of Mount Zozo. So he's just going to race right up to World of Ruin Narsh, because he could fight the Tritox spot and the Yeti spot And he's got 2 chances for an Esper. So I like this play here from Fitz, even though I don't like him leaving Kefka at Narsh on the table. So we'll have to ask him about that at the end of the stream here. Yeah, so one of the strategies that I've been trying with this flag set is if I feel like I'm under-leveled, I'll actually dive into Kefka's Tower with my full party in the 2nd slot and take on the Toilet Atma spot. The reason why I do this is because Toilet Atma does not count towards enemy scaling, because it won't yield you a character or an Esper, ever. And it'll give you boss XP, and it gives you 1 extra boss towards the skip. So Cat Hood coming in from Fitz here. Decides that he wants that instead of the Minerva, because he already has the Minerva. So I've been employing some Toilet Atma. And on top of that, Toilet Atma does drop you a high tier item, because it is considered a check, so it must drop a high tier item. So not only do you not advance the scaling of all of the enemies, because you're not getting any progression, you get a high tier item, and you get an extra boss to the boss counter for skip. So that's a strategy I've been employing when running my practice seeds for this. That is Senor Behemoth dead, and even though it's 2 different parts, it only counts as 1 boss. Unlike World of Ruin Mobliz with Fun Baba, 3, and then the extra boss, those actually count as 2 bosses. Fly Equals Fly runs into Magimaster here. Thankfully, he's got the goods for it. He's got stuff that does defense ignoring damage. The question is whether his party will survive long enough to deal that damage. Right? Because he's got Edgar with Drill, he's got Realm with Pummel, and he's got Shadow with throwables. Now, Mog has Sword Tech. Sword Tech 4 does not ignore defense, but Sword Tech 1 does. So you could actually use Sword Tech 1 here in order to get past the high defense that Magimaster has. Second dragon down for Fitz there. He will be happy to see an Illumina as the reward. Yeah, Fly Eagles Fly can't seem to keep Shadow alive. Which is rather unfortunate because he's the one with the defense ignoring throw ability. Our Guardian spot here is number 128, so a little palette swap action. Actually, no, because then that would be Inferno, right? That's a palette swap of Inferno. Number 128 is weak to lightning and absorbs ice, whereas Inferno is also weak to lightning but absorbs fire. So a little bit slight difference there. As JS defeats his 11th boss and is going to pick up his 8th Esper here. He does have Umaro, so we'll see if he decides to hop down into the Yeti Cave. And it looks like he's going straight in. So we'll get to see what is at the Yeti Cave after all here, because Ficta left us hanging. With that Valiant Knife in tow, he is going to check this monster in a box. Unfortunately, we do know where the Katana Soul is, and it is not here. Gigantos, however, is nice for this here, as one free Fitz gets both Go Mode and Skip Mode, I believe. Yeah, he gets Go Mode and Skip Mode, so he's going to be right at the statues. He's going to skip over that first boss in Kefka's Tower. Gigantos dumps a ton of XP on you, so that's good. Fly Eagles Fly, meanwhile, slogs it out against Magimaster and will make it through. He's going to pick up his 7th Esper, Madeline, which is a pretty good one, if I remember. And we have a French Vanilla Guardian here at the Poltergeist spot. So it is a piece of magicite in the carving there. So JS will just need to find one more character. Unfortunately, I think the character that he needs is at the floating continent number 3. Or he can go find Strago at the ancient castle. I believe those are his options. Or Gogo at the... Nope, he's got Gogo. Yeah, unfortunately for JS is he did not get past the Doomgaze spot on the floating continent, and that is going to come back to sink him here. Strago is at the end of a long series of checks, and Mog is at the end of the floating continent. So if he goes back to the floating continent, he'll be able to drop down onto it, and he'll walk right past where the second spot on the floating continent is, but it's just a lot of walking. And he's also using this time to get Bum Rush for Realm, so he's got to go through this cutscene here. Meanwhile, Fly Eagles Fly is down in the ancient castle, digging around in some chests here. Gonna go fight this monster in a box, which I believe is the Katana Soul he is looking for. Meanwhile, it's the Stooges at the Goddess spot for 1 free Fitz. He's our first runner, I believe, that has showed us one of these spots. Realm putting in work with that quad 9s with that Ice 3. So we got Fire 3, Ice 3, and Bolt 3. And there is the other Atma weapon in Kefka's Tower. So Toilet Atma was that Atma weapon spot on the floating continent, and Atma weapon was near Atma's spot in Kefka's Tower. Very, very interesting, this seed. Fly Eagles Fly, using the Noise Blaster to take out Katana Soul in style there, is going to pick up his fat stack of cash, plus the offering. And that's Ficta with another boss down here. I believe he just needs one more in order to unlock Kefka, unless I missed him taking out the Doom spot, which is entirely possible. Oh, so JS is doing a check that we actually haven't seen. I forgot about this. We could actually see if Zone Eater is where our, or where his 6th character is. Otherwise, like I said, he's got to go to the Ancient Castle or the end of the floating continent. That's taken out the Doom statue there, which is the Stooges, and Ficta will be up next against the Doom statue. So Ficta's slightly ahead, since he has just one more boss to go, whereas 1 free Fitz has 3 more bosses to go. JS getting thrown off the bridge. Predictions in the chat. How many more times will JS get thrown off the bridge? It's Chancellor's 1 and JS 0 right now. This guy on this part of the bridge, man, let me tell you, he is the worst. Hey, there it is, sneaking past him. Yeah, if my options were do Engine Room with Magimaster and then do Ancient Castle, or go back to the floating continent and fight Doomgaze, or go to Zone Eater, I'm doing Zone Eater 10 out of 10 times. Oh, that's a reset for Ficta. Looks like he's got to reconfigure his equipment, perhaps, maybe, to deal with the Stooges. Falcon Hit pointing out in chat that one of the Stooges' best abilities... Hey, there's Locke. Saved by the Locke down in the Zone Eater cave. JS has no idea how lucky that the character was down there. Anyway, Stooges fight. So there's 3 Stooges. They're all weak to a particular element and absorb a particular element. And you could tell based on their clothing outfits what is what. The Fire Stooge is the one that you need to take out first because he will both heal and revive the other two. But after, I think, 3 turns, if all 3 of the Stooges are still left around, they'll use a move called Delta Hit, which basically petrifies one of your characters. And since there's only 2 party members in this fight, that means it's an automatic wipe. No ribbons, and no memento rings, none of that either. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, so the Pearl Wind from the Fire Stooge will heal the party. And that is basically what happened there. So Victa needs to kill this fight before a Pearl Wind comes right out. So this will give Fitz some time to catch up. He does have to face down Guardian and the boss at the goddess statue, which I already forget what it is. Meanwhile, JS is heading into the tower, and he's got 12 bosses, so he is also doing the skip. The problem with Memento Ring is that in vanilla it's only equipable on Realm, so you have to be lucky enough that your character can equip the Memento Ring, right? Because Relics is not 100% equipable. Safety Bit and Memento Ring does work because those are considered instant death, or Petrify is considered an instant death move. Let me double check that because I might be talking out of my you-know-what. Mog is down right away. Let's see if we can get one of the... Remember, that this only happens if all 3 of the Stooges are around. So if Ficta can take out one of the Stooges, then he'll be okay. Okay, Shadow can actually equip the Memento Ring in vanilla, and it does prevent Petrify. So if Ficta does equip the Memento Ring on his Shadow character, then he could survive the Delta Hit. It will miss every time. That's a bit of obscure knowledge that you would need to know in this situation. And it does look like one of the Stooges is down, so he doesn't have to worry about that anyway. And I'm joined in the booth by Kill Basiago.
Hey there, Schwantz.
Only a few minutes late. No, I'm just messing with you.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? That's fun. Am I muted?
You are muted.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Nope.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you through the stream.
So you can't hear me through Discord. Wonderful.
Not at all.
Alright. Let's see.
Oh, there we are.
We're doing troubleshooting on the fly here.
We're good.
We're good now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Discord was having a bit of a fit, I think, with what microphone I was using or whatever. So, but if we're good now, then we're good. So how are you doing, Kilbasiago in the house?
I'm a little late. You know, just like 90 minutes or so.
That's all right. You're at the best part. We've got 2 racers that basically are both ready for Final Kefka at the same time.
Is that one free Fitz and Ficta?
Yep, both of them are. I think they're done with their boss gauntlet now.
Fitz is AFK.
Yeah, so Ficta had a little trouble there with the Stooges, but finally gets past them. 3rd time, first time, you know.
I've been kind of watching on and off throughout this whole thing, and there is so much power, and they're so high level right now.
Yeah, so
I feel like they're just gonna blow through Kefka here.
Yeah, so both of these runners did find experience eggs in Mount Zozo. They did sequence break into Mount Zozo with Y removed. There was an egg in there. And Fitz actually picked up, I think, 2 more eggs from the Coliseum.
My goodness.
So, eggs everywhere. However, there is split XP in this flag set on. So, I think some of our runners have been going with parties of 3 instead of parties of 4. So
That's what I would do.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of that strategy.
so we'll see if that right, because normally you're used to having 4 pieces of offensive output in the Kefka fight. Yeah, this is real close. Fitz taking, I guess, a bathroom break real fast. He is just very slightly behind Ficta here. And blink and you miss it, JS is actually also just 1 boss away from the statues. So he was having a lot of trouble this seed between Magimaster and Doomgaze and Atma, but perseverance is paying off here. Love to see it.
Yeah, it seems like everyone is stacked.
Yeah, so
I guess not everyone has EXP egg, but what for these particular shadow flags? What was like the big reward that everyone got?
so if you win a Coliseum battle, you get auto image, which is pretty nice. There is also no free progression, and we started with both Shadow and Edgar, right? So you get 2 checks right off the bat that give you a high tier item. So we got a Snow Muffler from one and a Valiant Knife from another. So that certainly helps jumpstart your seed. Plus, Shadow
good.
has Throw, right, as his natural ability. We had Realm with Blitz and Edgar with Tools. And we found an Illumina in multiple different spots, too. So, definitely some good stuff.
Oh my goodness! I just realized that both Edgars are wearing Moogle suits on Fitz and Ficta's teams, and on JS's, and on all 4. That's impressive.
Edgar is doing his Mog cosplay today. Love to see it. So, question for you. Is the Moogle suit made of real Moogle, or do we think it's some sort of synthetic Moogle?
It has to be synthetic.
I would hope so. Otherwise, that's creepy to think about.
Yeah. Just selling them in the shops would be messed up.
So
There's no justifying that.
Yeah, so Ficta has the Valiant Knife and the Offering because he went down into the Ancient Castle and found Katana Soul. So that's why he jumps out ahead here, done with Tier 1 and on to Tier 2, leaving the corpse of Strago behind. Sorry, R.I.P. old man.
So based on the current teams, I'm guessing that Ficta was one that went with the 3-team setup, and Fitz is one that went with 4.
Yeah, so Fitz found Go-Go at the end of Magitech Factory early, and with Throw, with Go-Go, I love Throw-Go, one of my favorite strategies. So decided that the power of having somebody that could mimic the thrown item makes up for the lack of XP. And remember, he got more experience eggs than everybody else in the seed too. So
He said he had 3 with 3 characters.
Yeah, he had 3, and maybe he wasn't using 3 characters. He was using 4 for a while. He was using 3 for a little bit through like his first couple of checks, but inserted Go-Go into the party immediately there. So we're at Tier 2 here, and we've got the goods to take care of Tier 2. We've got Mute on at least 2 of our Espers, and we've got all 3 elemental spells, Ice 3 and Fire 3 and Bolt 3. Ice 3 for Tiger, of course. Bolt 3 would be for Tools, but we also have that Air Anchor with Edgar.
Yeah.
So
I know Ficta used Air Anchor to clear out Tools for his as well.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that Ultima coming out over on JS's screen
Dear Lord.
from that Atma. Oh
Ooh.
my goodness. Hit him with it, Mog. Getting a little lag.
Oh God.
No, that's unfortunate.
That's a reset there. Oh, hitting the wall that is Atma. So with the scaling in the Coliseum flag sets, remember, we are at progression times 2.5 versus in Ultros League, it's only times 2. right? So our bosses here, as in JS's case, are, what is that? 16 times 2 is 32, plus half of 16 is 8, so level 40. And level 40 bosses will start throwing out things like Ultima, Hyperdrive, etc., etc. So,
Goner.
brutal.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a long tier 2 for how much offense they have for both, I feel.
Yeah, so Ficta had Realm get zombied, right? And that definitely did not help. Maybe
Even Fitz a bit of time to catch up.
Yeah, maybe Fitz doesn't have mute. Oh, no, he does. However, Shadow is on his last legs here. So, going forward, that'll be good for Ficta. Because he's got that Valiant Knife.
VK.
He was doing, what, like 6,500 a swing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Get the offering on as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is 26,000 damage a turn for those counting at home. I know, I'm sorry, you guys thought there would be no math. Fitz right behind him here, though, clearing out tier 2. And now we are done dragging corpses up the tower, or the Statue of the Gods, as it's called in the remaster, which is not canon. I refuse to believe that.
So what I think is going to happen here is Fitz is really gaining ground, but that Shadow's in a prime position to just murder tier 3. Swing once, it's the girl is down, and then you swing one more time, and he's pretty much dead. So if you can just like kind of do a little damage between the two swings, I think he's probably good.
And of course, 3 out of the 4 are on are on the one we don't want.
Ooh, we killed her, and then you just quick swing, boom.
Yep. Jexfrox rating with a party of 1. He actually is also in this race-off stream. He did finish in first place, so congratulations on your W here, Jexy. Really nicely
Great job,
done.
Jax.
Ficta, meanwhile, just obliterates tier 3.
Almost exactly how I called that, too.
And we'll see what Final Kefka has in store for Ficta. But the Fallen one is actually a blessing in this case, because that means, well, 17. The difference between 17 and 1 is not that much, but
I don't even think he gets the Fallen one. I think the 1 VK swing is going to take him out of that. Right? He's hitting for like 35k right now, a swing. And like around insane. 30k is where you get out of range of a Fallen one.
Train coming in for Fitz, but he just threw an Ice Shield, and then he mimics it with Go-Go, so this shouldn't be a problem here either.
Smart. Smart.
Very smart. Yeah, so we should be coming up on GG for Ficta here.
Yep. It's over. Krakow.
Oh no,
he is sitting on E, this Kefka. One final hurrah. He has to be under 1,000 HP, right?
Which is not good, because that's where Ultima counter territory is.
Believe, Schwanz!
There it is.
Beautiful. Great job, Fick.
With the Life 3, taking it out. 1:24:08 is his official time there. Whew, just squeaking on past. Geez. What's his name?
Third time's the
Fitz,
charm.
yes, that one. So, awesome job by Ficta. We'll see if he wants to chat.
That was pretty cool. I really like the matches where they're actually kind of close.
And it's Celeste at the end of Ebbets Rock here. So that is either go mode or 1 away from go mode for Fly Eagles Fly. No, he still needs 1 Esper.
Something wrong with that image. Fitz going through his inventory, and there's just an Illumina and a VK chilling.
Yeah, so Ficta, awesome job on your finish. Congratulations.
That was a really good final Kefka.
Yeah, that VK with the offering. I'm guessing that's why you went to Ancient Castle, was to dig in the monster in a boxes and look for the offering. Looks like Fly Eagles Fly is trying to manually find the Doomgaze spot. You can do this if you fly in a straight line and tilt your axis ever so slightly each time. It's going to take a little bit, though.
It's not worth it.
You could buy an Esper in World of Ruin to Zen like Ficta did to get his go mode. Question for you, Ficta. Instead of going and doing the Yeti stuff, why did you decide to buy an Esper at Zen, as Fitz gets the Crack Pow as well?
Crack Pow.
So it's 126-21 for Fitz. That was a very close race.
Mm-hmm. The fact that they went into tier 3 almost like 10-15 seconds apart.
Yeah. That's always fun when you get that happening.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stepping on the switches is JS.
Grabbing
sorry,
a Minerva. Oh no, just he just got a Minerva from the Celis prison check.
Yeah, that's so. After seeing what you did in Kefka's Tower, it made sense, right? That you wanted to have 9 bosses so you could run your full party up the middle to get to 12 and then warp out and do 1 on one side and 2 on the other side. It just happened to be that the one that you picked was the Stooges fight, which was giving you all the best times. Yeti was an Esper, so you would have gotten go mode there, but again, after looking at your Kefka Tower strategy, it makes more sense. Yeah, so another thing we discovered while you were doing that fight is Shadow can naturally wear the Memento Ring relic, which does prevent Petrify. So the next time you're in that situation, throw on the Memento Ring and Delta hit's not a problem. Bit of weird situational knowledge there.
Fly Eagles Fly.
I mean, he's living up to his name, isn't he?
Straight cruising.
Yeah. Did he get it? He did get it.
Amazing.
Wow.
That's so good. I would not have the gusto to pull that off in a race. Let me tell you.
It usually takes like 4 or 5 minutes to do if you like move it over like 1 pixel at a time and do it that way. So
it's kind of blind fire in there.
Yeah. So notably, Fly Eagles Fly did not have Umaro, or does not have Umaro rather. So if he would have went to Sequence Break, he probably didn't realize that YNPC is set. Because there was definitely a soldier that was in his way. I'm surprised he didn't do Magitech with Celeste. Because you're kind of guaranteed to
there
do
we go.
Nesper.
Hello.
Yo, 1 free Fitz. Congrats on your 2nd place finish. That was a really good time.
It was actually probably a lot closer.
Are you there?
Oh man.
Yes.
I lost some time to some foolishness early on.
Yeah, so the Coliseum.
I thought I was doing real bad at the beginning.
Well, you did go into the Coliseum early.
But it turned out pretty good.
You were the only runner that went into the Coliseum, right?
Fitz, can you hear the Schwants?
I cannot hear the Schwants.
Interesting. I can hear them, but you can't. This is a conundrum. He's asking really good questions right now.
No, the cues.
All right, hold on. I will. I'll double check this again. What is happening here?
I'm glad I can be here to moderate.
Can you hear me now?
Well, I don't have him muted. I might need to switch devices.
Very, very interesting that you could hear Cabasiago, but not me.
Ooh.
All right, can you hear me
Hello.
now? Can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you, Schwantz.
No.
What is happening? I thought this was a professional restream.
Technology.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
We lost him to the void.
I
Are you
believe
there?
it is
Are you
go
there?
mode now.
Are you there?
Nice.
Did I catch that the Zen Thief was an Esper?
All right, I'm gonna restart my Discord. I got some great hard-hitting questions here. Where's my Discord thing? There it is. So let's quit it. Let's do it. Yeah, I know that you guys in Streamland can hear me because I can see my my bar going up and down. Let's see if everybody else can hear me now.
An offering.
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
I can hear
Yeah.
you, Schwantz.
All right, just had to restart the good old Discord because it was being perfect. Yeah, so sorry. Go ahead. Where did you think, Fitz, that you lost some time?
Okay, so I spent a lot of time running around early, and the big thing that I was like, oh, that was so dumb, was I went in to the Coliseum, and Shadow was my strongest person, because I took some grind fights in Realm and Edgar died, but it was no split XP, so I was like, I'm cool with that. And I went there and he had an instant death weapon, and I was like, I should change this because I might fight a ghost and I don't know what to do. Luckily I saved before I headed to the Coliseum.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, with the amount of time that you were wasting, I was like, oh god, he didn't save beforehand. And this is a goner out from Red Dragon. What is going on?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But luckily I was like, I know I saved after I did my South Figaro discount trip. So I'm just going to because I was trying to run too. And then I was like, well, maybe if I run long enough, it'll kill me. But I was like, I'm way overscaling. That's not going to happen. So I did reset and go back, and because I wanted that experience egg. It was like,
It's very juicy.
and I went back out a second one because I fought number 24. I'm curious, did any of the other runners
No.
use? I was like,
Nobody
that was kind of my thing.
Nobody else went into the Coliseum at all.
No Coliseum. Did anyone use Y remove to like go to like Magitech Factory?
Yes.
Okay.
And
No.
and I think JS used Y remove to get to Mount Zozo early, of which there was another experience egg in Mount Zozo.
I didn't even open those chests. That would have been my third one.
Oh, you didn't open. Okay, I because we were talking about, you know, because you and Ficta were about 20 seconds apart when you stepped on the switches going into Final Kefka. And we were trying to judge, you know, because Ficta had offering Valiant Knife because he went and did Ancient Castle, and that's where Katana Soul was. And you had multiple experience eggs, right? So it was who's got what sort of thing.
Well, it's good to know that I was close to the right decision. Like, I think if I would have executed better, it would have been, you know, maybe I could have cut that to like 2 minutes margin. Just up to that.
Yeah, the other question I had for you was, you were at either 5 characters and 8 espers or 6 characters and 8 espers. You just did Lone Wolf. You found out it was an esper. You see a ghost at Kefka at Narsh, and you say, nah, I don't need this. What was
Oh man,
what was the thought process there?
I had so many thoughts like running through my brain this run, but at that point I was like, okay, I need a character and an esper.
Okay. I didn't remember if you needed just espers or just characters, but that would have been your 9th esper there.
I needed like one of each, and I was like, there's some other places I want to go look for a character that I might get an Esper there, and that would be cool. But if I do Kefka and Narsh for like the Esper here, then I'm gonna reset out of those and be mad. So I decided it would be better for me to go to Zozo, and then I got Umaro, and I was like, oop, I'm going up to Tritok, because I knew there wasn't a character from the little peak hole when I ran up there. So it was like, even if that's dead, the other one probably won't be.
Oh god, the second goner in a row here for Fly Equals Fly. Jeez. So what did you think of the flag set overall in terms of split XP and the whole you can't sell anything for money thing?
Yeah, the split XP is definitely different. If I could have tried to run, I thought about running just like a 3-person party basically.
Yeah.
But with the EXP eggs that I had, I was like, nope, we can do it. That's fine. And then just the way that I happened to I got to skip outside of the tower. So my levels were pretty good going in. And I knew those boss fights were going to give me a ton of experience, and they did. So all of that added up to made sense.
Yeah, that certainly does make sense. You did fight, I think, the most bosses out of all of our competitors here, because you had skip outside of the tower versus Ficta went in and got it. JS, I think, also got it outside. Yes, he did. I just stopped incrementing bosses after a while. So
I think they're both. That's what I've been playing around with. Was I've initially in the Coliseum flags, I was always like, let me get to 9, and then I'll load up my middle party.
Yep.
Clear all the way and skip and reload. And sometimes that makes sense. But when I'm feeling strong, and I had an Illumina, I just had a Valiant Knife hanging around that I was like, well, and I'm so mad that it was in the Edgar checks, because this is what I was fighting the urge the whole time. I was like, I have a Valiant Knife. Let me go to Edgar check. Let me prioritize monster in the box checks and find that offering. But my counter thought was, well, wait a minute. That wasn't your plan when you started this race, which was kind of I was like, I know I'm going to start with Shadow, so I got Floating Continent. That's 3 bosses right there. And then with Y Remove, I can get it. Oh yeah, and then with Y Remove, I can get into Magitech, fight another 4 bosses.
Yep.
And that was my plan to do early, and it would free me up to kind of do whatever I wanted from there. If I wanted to go buy an Esper or do Zozo, which I ended up doing. I think the no selling worried me at the beginning.
Yep.
And I was pretty thrifty with my starting money. But then when I started fighting some, fixed and random encounters and saw the gold drops, I was like, this kind of makes up for not being able to sell.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad you
me...
didn't do the Y Remove on the weapon shop right away, because then you would have gotten that cat hood immediately off the bat.
Oh, man. And it probably would have changed my routing, because I would have had enough cash to probably buy an Esper and check out the auction house. But I think all things considered, it was a fun race. Pretty happy with the time and being close to, our first place runner on stream as well as in the race room is always good. They're a division or 2 above me in the Ultros League, so if I can be close, that's always a win in my book.
Let me interject for a second. That is JS in 3rd place on the stream, 139.36. Awesome job from him, persevering through a ridiculous amount of struggles for him throughout the seed between Magi Master in the engine room, which you missed, Fitz. Doomgaze at the end of the Floating Continent, right? And then, so he wiped to Doomgaze and then had to refight Toilet Atma and wiped to him. After he killed him the first time, it was just a mess. So, excellent job excellent perseverance there from JS.
JS
for sure.
Ultimate and then quaked.
Oh, that's right too. I forgot about that. Just brutal.
True adversity.
So yeah, the Edgar checks also. I think you were speaking of your plan on that. They are less appealing with this flag set because there's only one boss between Edgar's 3 checks, right? So it doesn't lend itself as well to doing the skip because in Ancient Castle there's just a dragon. It happened to be that Strago was down there, but it's only just a dragon, right? So it's a little bit less enticing in this flag set than in others for sure. So.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, and I'll probably post about this in the Discord after the race. Like, how does why remove being on? Does that impact like the logic in terms of like where characters?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's sequence. It's technically a sequence break. So think of it like doing all the glitches in, let's say, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past randomizer, right? You're supposed to have X item to get into this dungeon. Well, if you can get into the dungeon without the item, then you get whatever's in the dungeon out of logic or out of order, right? So it's a similar concept here where, like, everything is out of logic and out of order. So
That's good to know, because my guess was basically like, well, I know that like the farther a character is buried in a seed, the more likely that character leads to other characters, and so I wasn't for sure, but that's kind of why I was like, I went to Magitech because I was like, well, I don't have Celis. She could come up. She could be deep in the seed. Maybe I'll get a character here, and then I did. No, I didn't.
Goner number 3 from the 3rd different boss. Celeste was actually in Ebbett's Rock, so you needed to go get Strago out of Ancient Castle, and then you needed to go to Ebbett's Rock. So it was a while down the check line, right? So.
And then the other one was like the Mount Zozo check. I was like, I feel like so many times I go to Mount Zozo and it's an Esper, but that was another kind of like a little bit of a gamble and thinking that, well, Cyan could be buried too. That was later in the seed as well. Because otherwise I was looking at like a Zone Eater trip or
yeah, so
like
Zone Eater
also
had lock, so that's where JS got his 6 character. So there was characters options were there. It was just did you get it or not? So one thing I want to mention before we let you go is that you actually were disqualified technically from this race because you did not suplex the train when you had the chance.
I wasn't high enough level to have suplex. All I had was punch and bolts, because if Realm wouldn't have died in one of those grind fights in the basement, like,
you weren't
it would have happened because I was 8. So in my defense, I could not. But in my not defense, I've forgotten to do it on stream before when I had the chance. So that is a thing I forget.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I had. Keel, do you have any other questions from the 10 minutes that you saw it?
Nope, I got nothing. Fitz, you played great. It was a lovely last 20 minutes or so that I watched. That was probably about 15. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah, it was very entertaining though. So thank you for volunteering to be on stream. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the impromptu restream. It's always a good time.
No doubt. And we'll catch you on the next one.
See you
Yep.
around.
Wait. Before you go, plug your
Plugs.
your thing.
Oh, my pluggables. Yeah,
Plug your
so
plug.
I will be representing Worlds Collide in the Winter 2022 Final Fantasy Randomizer Marathon. My particular time slot, mark the calendars, Sunday, December 11th at 4 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, God. I thought it was 4 p.m.
It's part of a relay block where various Final Fantasy randomizers, as well as I think Jets of Time is in there.
Oh, awesome.
As well.
Oh, so you could have done a dual run.
Yeah,
Back to back.
when I actually asked him, I was like, these are the two that I run. Has anyone applied for either? And at the time, it was like, no. And I was like, well, I've run more Worlds Collide, so let me do that one.
So that
But
is
yeah,
a
it should be
yeah,
good time.
That is a very early birthday present for yours truly, because my birthday's the next day. So I'll set my alarm clock. It's a Sunday morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be fine. Wake up, watch that, then watch some football, right? We'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Fitz, for representing the community, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Sounds good. Have a nice night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Prebz, to answer your question, the seed had a ton of power. There were Valiant knives everywhere, offerings, EXP eggs, throw.
Yeah, we started with Throw on Shadow and Blitz on Realm and Tools on Edgar with a Valiant Knife right off the rip that Edgar could use. So we were pretty much set for a while. And speaking of set, JS is in the booth. Welcome, JS. Congratulations on your finish. Way to persevere through some just quite awfulness that happened to you in the seed.
Oh my gosh, how many times did I wipe? Like 72 or something like that?
rounded down. Come on. Don't
something
flatter
like
yourself.
Oh, that was awful. Awful. Got ultimated by Atma, then
That
I
was pretty
beat
sweet.
Atma, and then came back and died to Atma.
So you got killed by, well, let's go down the list here.
List.
Doomgaze at the end
Yeah.
of the floating continent. Then you thankfully saved at the underground spot right before the second boss. Then went and fought Toilet Atma, like little vanilla bean action there. Toilet Atma at the Atma weapon spot. Wiped there. Then the third time you defeated it again, and you're like, you know what? I'm done with this island. Get me the hell out of here.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought.
So just for future, you could actually remove that little sparkle at the end to get past that boss in case you need to know for next time.
I knew that, but I kept forgetting why remove was on there. That's why I ended up going Logitech so late.
Ooh, True Knight strats there from Fly Eagles Fly. I love it. Love realm blocking for Shadow. Yeah, so then you also walked all the way down to the Figaro engine room, found Magimaster, and that was not fun.
Nope.
And then, yeah, the Ultima Quake thing happened as well.
Yeah, I had some good RNG on this one.
Yeah, so you had 5 characters and 9 espers there, and your options were Zone Eater, or Floating Continent 3, or go back and deal with Magimaster, which you knew wasn't a character, right? Because you knew that the sprite was not a character. Believe it or not, there are characters at all 3 of those spots.
Guardian.
One at Ancient Castle, one at Zone Eater, and one at Floating Continent 3. So
That sounds about
Zone Eater bails you out. Very nice.
I thought I was going to do really good since I decided to remove Mount Zozo and caught that experience egg early.
Yeah, that was pretty big brain play.
But it didn't help me, obviously.
Dead now.
Did end up bum rush, which was nice, but I mean, by the time I got to the end, the RNG had just ate me alive, so it wasn't all that great.
Now I'm worried.
Yep.
But yeah,
So-
as soon as I ran into Magimaster, I was like, why am I even doing this anymore?
Yeah. Well, at that point, did you have Go-Go or no?
No, I did not have Go-Go
Okay,
yet.
that I didn't think so. Yeah, because that's how Ficta, I think, got past that. No, Ficta didn't have Go-Go either. Ficta had Drill and Pummel and Throw, so that's how he got through Magimaster. It was just sheer brutality.
Well, I didn't have any levels hardly. I think I was only like maybe level 9 or something like that whenever I went in there. And that's what kind of hurt.
So, give us your impressions of this Coliseum flag set with split XP and the start with 50,000 gold, but you can't sell anything with the 10 times GP multiplier. What were your thoughts on those two things specifically going on.
Well, as far as the GP going on, with it not with no free characters or progression, not needing to worry about auction house was nice. So I knew I was just going to get my aspiration characters. So money wasn't too big of a deal for me. I just ran around looted as I was somewhere, and if I really thought I needed, some extra gear, then I'd find a place with, just high chest, high quantity chest. I've never been a fan of the split experience, but I do understand, how it kind of just plays into all this, changing up the flag sets for each character. So I thought it was really cool that they had wide remove on here too. So I really didn't expect to see that. This is the first time I played the shadow flag. So.
Yep, starting off with throw with shadow every time definitely means that you could sort of go a lot earlier, but as you said, with the split XP, setting, it kind of holds you back a little bit and makes you think about, do I want to run with a party of 3, or should I include, a party of 4, right? And it's a conscious decision there. Thankfully, you got that experience, that girly. With the Coliseum reward being auto image, were you interested in going there, or did you just not think about it with all the power that we started off with in this seed?
I kind of thought about it, and then I kind of backed out. It's auto image is pretty nice, especially early on. But I kind of started thinking about it. I'm like, am I going to waste the time doing that? Possibly go in, catch something nasty every time I try to choose. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Some of the other flag sets have some really nice, I think, maybe it's go-go's that you get like plus 20 speed or something like that. One of them that you get pretty high speed, and whenever you throw that on early in the seed, I mean that's priceless if you ask me.
Yeah, that's the Gal one, plus 20 speed and learn 25 rages.
Yeah, Gal, that's which one it is. But as far as auto image, I kind of thought about it, and I was like, that could be pretty handy. So I think the fact that I had throw, it was like, let's just go with throw rather than worrying about, the defense, and just hope that it worked out.
All right, Keel, you got any other questions for JS?
It was a great performance, JS. I'm glad you finished. I would have forfeited about 15 minutes sooner than your finish time. So, props to you.
Well, it was one of those things. I'm like, it's on stream. I gotta finish it. 3 hours later.
Yeah. Well, just for future reference, right? We play these games to have fun, right? And if you're not enjoying yourself, don't feel bad about saying, you know what, I'm not having fun anymore. I don't want to continue, right?
Oh, I was laughing at myself the entire time. I was like, what is this? What is going on here?
Yep. So any other thoughts on Coliseum, I guess, in general, before we let you go here?
I'm pretty excited about it. The idea that, you're going to have a mix-up, because we got Ultras League, which, you're pretty much going to have the same rundown every time.
Yep.
But Coliseum, and it being different, I mean, it's just going to throw a lot of variety into it. And I think it's going to be really cool to see how it all pans out and how it all plays down, because you're going to have some runners that may catch an advantage because they're better at one seed than the other. And then you're just going to have some runners that are just good at all of them, obviously. But
yeah, for sure.
Some people are going to find, hey, I do really good with this character, so, I know we're playing this, so I'm going to have an advantage, or, think that they have an advantage, and even just go in confident.
Yep, Rando is going to Rando sometimes, right? And the nature of it being a series of 1v1 matches means that you could actually formulate strategies based on the opponent that you're running, right? In this seed and other practice seeds we've had, we haven't really gotten to dive into that much, like of a meta discussion as much, because we're racing in rooms with a ton of different people, right? But if you know that you're racing a runner of, caliber that's, someone that's better than you are, let's say, you're going to take some risks in order to try and get a leg up, versus if you think that, you're playing somebody that is newer to the game, let's say, and doesn't know as much as, someone who's a more veteran runner, then you're likely to play it more safe, right? So it gives you these cool mechanics that you don't normally see in these sort of group races that we have all the time here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we missed one of my wipes. I wiped a blue dragon also.
Oh, at the very beginning of the seed, that's right. Yeah.
I was hoping I might be able to catch Ice Dragon there with fire schemes. I was like, but I knew with that one at least that'd be a quick turnaround as far as where the save point was. That wouldn't have been too much of a time loss. The other ones were, on the other hand, they were definitely some time loss.
Yeah. Wiping in on Floating Continent is always the worst feeling. The boss number 3 and 4 there was pretty brutal. Between regular Atma and
there, so the first go around, I was thinking, and then it went really smooth, and I was like, huh. That's why I went back a second time, and I'm like, yeah, I got this, and I didn't.
We should have a goner counter for Fly Eagles Fly. I think that's the 5th goner from a 5th different boss here. It's pretty ridiculous.
I do have to say, my tier 2, that flew. I've never had one go that fast before on tier 2.
Well, we did have access to mute, and oh wow, this is going to be bad with poison. This is just brutal.
Oh, look at this Pearl One, the sickest Pearl One you're ever gonna see.
Please be dead. Please be
Oh
dead.
man.
And Magus poisoned, so he's about to.
Wow, the clutch.
The clutch.
The
Terrifying.
Yeah, make sure you give Fly Eagles Fly some props for that. Go give him a follow for that epic clutch. That's crazy. So yeah, we had access to mute and instant death in the seed, so it's not surprising that tier 2 flew pretty fast. But you definitely took care of it in a really short amount of time there.
Oh, Bum Rush helped.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did anybody else suplex a train?
No. So this was going to be my surprise to you, is that you are actually the true winner of the seed.
I was gonna say
The only one. Fitz wasn't at high enough level apparently to suplex the train. So
the experienced eggs do win races.
Congratulations on your win, JS.
Number 3 in the race, but number 1 in our hearts. That's how it goes.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, I'm gonna get out of here.
All right. Well, thank you for volunteering to be on Restream, because we can't have these races without our volunteers. So appreciate you doing that. And
I want to appreciate you for doing the restream.
Oh yeah, no problem. Listen, I asked my wife, hey, what are we doing tonight? She's like, nothing. I'm like, all right, see you later. So yeah, that's why we're here. So again, thank you for volunteering for streaming, and good luck in the Coliseum if I don't talk to you before then, and we'll catch you later.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
You're on, JS.
All right.
Bye.
I'm ready.
And with that, we are at the statue switches. Wow, we're not. 159 and 30. So now that we actually have some time, we could talk about this final battle here. Yeah, it's 4 tiers, and if any of your characters die in between the tier transition, you have to get a sub off the bench, which means a scrub off the bench, or in some cases a corpse. So we don't want that to happen, right? So, and when forming your party, the 4th slot goes first on tiers 2, 3, and 4. So that's why we hear Fly Eagles Fly drilling his party names into his head here, so he makes the right selections in the right order.
I have to do that as well.
Yeah.
You just keep saying the party name, you type it in chat, and then you read it 20 times. And then you still screw it up.
Oh yeah.
That's
course.
just me, but
Yep. Yeah, so we got access to mute, which will be helpful on tier number 2. But this is tier 1, mostly physical damage. Realm getting smacked around a little. I think she's the one with the True Knight on, so she'll get used to getting hit. Head is weak to fire, and will death counter with Quake if it's left alive at the end. The long arm there is susceptible to instant death. Unfortunately, we don't have an air anchor. You can use like fractional spells like Demi and Quarter, or even breaking a gravity rod. Look at this.
my
Clutch
gosh.
Realm.
They just put her in a Kevlar vest and gave her a shield, and she's like, I got you.
Don't worry, the little girl's got this.
Heal her up.
She's definitely earning her Girl Scout cookies tonight, folks. Get your Samoas while they're still last. So yeah, the order of operations is usually kill head first, instant death long arm, or take it out if you can't. And then the fist is the last one to die. But he also counterattacks pretty much every time you hit him with a physical attack, so he's quite annoying. But we do have Shadow, and actually the fist is weak to water, so if you have any water edges, we could use it on the fist.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. These are the things that you learn when you make guide videos.
I feel like I'd just be throwing shurikens.
Yeah. I mean, it also depends on what your magic
Yeah.
power stats are and stuff, right?
Or just your
So,
level, because
Yeah.
shuriken's going to scale better than the water edge.
yeah, for sure. Physical damage is exponential, whereas magic damage is not.
Here we go, watch.
So,
It says damage.
but yeah,
Lightning.
use your water edge here, and
See?
the V knife pulling out
Okay,
big
which is very nice.
big stuff. The Valiant knife.
Realm.
Yeah, the Valiant Knife, actually, it matters what row you're in. So I noticed that Fly Eagles Fly has his Valiant Knife user in the back row. That's probably because he's doing throw with him a majority of the time, right? So it makes sense, because throw doesn't matter what row you're in. It does the same damage. But
I know
Valiant...
I've gone into this fight 1 or 2 times. Just because, row is one of those things sometimes. You have so many things on the forefront of your mind. You just set and
Jesus.
forget.
That was Kate.
Wow.
I think Realm blocked 5 hits for Shadow,
Yep.
and all of them did 0 damage. So there you go. That's
I
actually
think
pretty.
took 1 hit and then blocked 5.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. All right.
I'm a big fan of True Knight. I think that, doesn't he? He
Yep.
turned me onto that a long time ago, and I've never looked back. It's like a 500 GP investment, and I'm a firm believer that you should probably just run this fight with 3 offense and a support character. So throwing it on the support character is usually, it almost is always a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. The only problem is that you have to have your Valiant Knife user in critical HP. So he's got to be, what, 1/16th or whatever it is, 1/8, something like that.
Yeah.
He's got to be 1/8 HP, and as we just saw, Shadow got wiped out from a thing from tools. So if you have magic protection, then the True Knight works even better, because you run the risk of getting annoyed by magical spells. So Shoat is an Esper summon that does Petrify on everything, which would work on tier 1, because actually Long Arm is susceptible to Petrify, but on tier 2, Tools is only susceptible to instant death, not Petrify. So that's why that missed there. And Tools is just going to annoy us this whole time, isn't it? Yep.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Tools is weak to lightning. Very weak to lightning, actually. Unfortunately, we only have Bolt 2 and not Bolt 3. But yeah, True Knight is, like you said, it's a super cheap relic. And you put it on one of your users that's got, a decent set of armor, and you're good to go. I don't know if I always buy True Knight, but I never sell it if I have it. Because it only sells for like 200, right? So what's the point? if I have a Valiant Knife, obviously I'll buy it. But I don't go out of my way to buy it.
This gearbox.
Maybe I should.
Thank you.
I'm very much on a good defense is a good offense. But that doesn't work in the final fight, right? This fight is going to take a long time no matter what. Because there's multiple parts, and you got to deal with multiple different weaknesses.
Yeah, I think even Ficta and Fitz, who probably had a stronger offense than Fly Eagles Fly here, I think. Even they took just about as much time in Tier 2.
Yeah, it's just it's not a fair fight.
Yep, it's definitely stacked against you.
It's like one of the only times in the game that there are just as many enemies as there are people in your party. Yep, Tiger is weak to ice, so Ice 3 doing huge damage there. And Magic has been muted, so we don't need to worry about him. We do need to worry about 10 hits.
Realms got...
But really, that's 10
Realms got her
10
pops.
realms.
Yeah. Dad, no! Jumps in front of the fist.
The redemption arc for Shadow as a dad here, unfolding in front of our very eyes.
Yeah. You have to live with your past horror, Shadow.
Yeah, so that's doing almost 14,000 a turn there. It's like 3.5k per.
Look at that.
Go, little girl, go. That's actually
is
crazy.
it a guaranteed chance to block?
When they're in critical, when you're in critical
Okay.
HP range, it's always blocks. It's basically like an auto love token for for people that are low on HP. It just so happened that like on tier 1 they missed like 5 times in a row, which is ridiculous. That usually doesn't happen.
Do we know if Shadow has any elemental immunity right now? Like, would a Merton on tier 3 wipe him out?
Well, so Diffuser took him down twice, so he definitely is not immune to Thunder. So Merton is Fire and Wind, right? So you would need a Fire resistance, which would be either a Flame Shield, Ice Shield, Rage Ring, Blizzard Orb,
Red Jacket.
Red Jacket, right? Minerva. We did see Minerva? Yes, that was one of the options for the Narsh weapon shop.
He also got one from the Dead Cells check in South Fig.
Well, so he's definitely not wearing a Minerva because the Diffuser, which is lightning damage, did damage to him. So we'll see if he has a flame. No, he has an Ice Shield, I think. Yeah, we'll find out here. I'm pretty sure he had an Ice Shield.
Live!
Never mind.
Oh.
I was wrong. Somebody's Shadow had an Ice Shield. I thought it was him.
It's alright. He's got this.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. We're fine.
Don't panic.
Well, I mean, the great thing is when you use a Phoenix Down, it revives somebody into that critical HP state. So he's always going to get protected from True Knight. So I like the strategy of just let's keep Shadow at this HP and let's just use a Phoenix Down instead of using a Life 2 spell or the Phoenix Summon, because the Phoenix Summon will give you a quarter of your HP back instead of an eighth.
Yes! Girl's dead, good.
Alright.
Girl down. God, I love Stunner. Stunner's such a cool skill.
Yeah. It is based on your magic power, and it doesn't do split damage. So even if both of the parts were alive, it still would have done, what was that, almost 5,500 damage to both parts? So
yeah, it's like a weaker AoE flare.
Oh, God. Double
Oh,
Meteo.
no.
Woo!
Cast that Cure 3.
Stunner is great because Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme music plays.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, so
I have to do that.
unfortunately, he's got to heal up at least some of his party because Realm isn't going to block a Meteo for Shadow here.
I gotta do that.
So this will hamper the amount of damage that this Valiant Knife will come out with here. I guess you're kind of hoping to get hit by Meteo. So it's almost 8,000 damage. Just one more spell will kill him now.
I can't do it.
Yeah, so once Sleep gets under 10,000 HP is when he starts casting Meteo to counter everything or train, right? So he's almost dead at this point. Just gotta keep Edgar alive.
We got that shuriken off. My goodness.
Just barely.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yes.
Just over 2,000 damage.
Woo.
Clutched it out.
So between the Mog 2 HP
Alright.
clutch on
Now
Atma weapon
to-
here, and the tier 3 clutch there. Very nice. Nicely done. I would have just left Mog on the ground and said, "Let me make sure I
Yep.
kill let me make sure I kill this now." But he gets out of it here. Mog has Sword Tech, so Sword Tech 5 will actually heal you for whatever HP you're missing and deal that damage to the enemy. So we may see that. Did he kill Magi Master? Yes, he must have.
He
'cause
has a Mega
Strago.
Elixir in his inventory.
Yeah. So Magi Master always drops a Mega Elixir, right? And since we have
Oh, I hit 6.
since we have Fallen One coming at some point, we're gonna need it.
Yeah. I would probably opt out of using the Mega Elixir. I'd probably just swing with Shadow and try and get him into a Goner phase.
Yeah, so it looks like he's using
Yep.
just elixirs here, so that
Cool,
this way
very
Shadow, yeah. So again, he could probably use Sword Tech 5 here to heal himself instead of wasting an elixir, but that's fine.
Sitting on 7 or whatever it was.
You also don't want to proc like a counter either, because remember, it does do damage to the boss too. So
Sure.
Shadow on 1 HP here. He's just going to keep swinging away. So Kafka will counter when he gets under 30,000 HP with stuff like Hyperdrive and Havoc Wing. And when he gets under 10,000 HP, he may cast Ultima, of which we've seen multiple times this stream. So what Fly Eagles Fly is doing here is he's waiting for the Goner charge up, I think, in order to pump out as much damage as possible. Because then Kefka won't counterattack during that phase. Or not, I'm just joking. I don't know what's going on. Trying to predict what runners do is impossible nowadays. I'm terrible at this job. That's why I invited Kilbasiago in.
Clown's going down. You're going down, clown.
Alright, so that's another 14,000 damage there from Shadow. That might be
Clown
it.
dead.
Yes! The Crack Pow!
Feels good.
1348. It's gotta feel good after getting Gonered out of existence. He didn't actually... He skipped the Goner phase of the one thing that normally does Goner.
This particular-
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. Really just flew through that tier 4.
Yeah, when you've got... Fallen One is both a blessing and a curse. If you can use it to your advantage, then... Yeah, that's... You do stuff like that, and it's great.
This is like one of those things, since this fight is something that's mandatory in pretty much every seed you do. You pick up those tricks a lot quicker than most.
So, we've got Fly Eagles Fly in the booth. Congratulations on surviving 5 Goners. I mean, on finishing the seed.
Them goners, oh man, holy crap, they were horrible goners.
So, talk to us about what you thought about this particular flag set, the Shadow flag set, especially with, like, the split XP and the, you can't sell anything, but you start with 50,000 gold, and you got a lot of GP from battles.
It's very interesting. Like, this is the second time that I've done a shadow run, and like the first time I just gave up because I could not do anything. So it's very interesting where you can't sell things to get money, and you just got to do some battles to get your money to buy some things. and it's just like taking it all away. And as long as you get Valiant Knife for Shadow, you'd be set with Shadow.
Yeah, you do start off with Shadow with Throw, but he was able to use that Valiant Knife, so that was great to find right off the rip. One thing I noticed that you were not doing during the seed, maybe you didn't see that this setting was on, is that Y NPC was set to remove. So that annoying guy at Returner's Hideout that kept blocking your way, I wanted you to just get rid of him. Delete him off the screen.
Yeah, I did not see that at all. I was just like running around, didn't even pay attention to it.
Yeah. Well, now you know for next time that if the seed comes up, that's something you could certainly do. You know, it's also good for sequence breaking into different things here. So, I spelt your name wrong somehow on stream the entire time, and nobody corrected me. Jeez.
What I was gonna say something, but I just let it rock.
Yeah, there you go.
That's okay. Everybody's allowed to misspell it because they're unhappy at how they're doing right now.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it seemed like you were having a little bit of struggle with your levels in this one. Talk to us about what you usually do when you're having, you know, some problems with, well, my people are not hitting hard enough here.
So a lot of times, when I seen where I was at, I went doing the dragons, and what really killed me was the Opera House and Shadow dying because I wanted him to get some more levels for Kefka Tower.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'll usually try to fight most of the dragons to get my party leveled up. But it was pretty they were pretty low level, and once I got Kefka Tower unlocked, I was like, you know what, just gonna go for it. Normally I go there at level 40, but this time I was just like, you know what, we're gonna try to do it under level 40 and see where we can go.
Yeah. The problem with this is the scaling gets higher than what we're all used to, right? Which is why you saw many different types of bosses throwing out ridiculous abilities. So it's something that all of us playing the Coliseum flags will have to get used to, right? We're used to the scaling being at twice your progression. Now it's at 2.5. So what does that mean, right? Does it mean that we take more checks with random encounters? Does it mean we fight more bosses in Kefka's Tower because they don't advance scaling the same way that bosses with checks do, right? So those are all like different strategies to consider. So, but yeah, so talk to us about your Coliseum strategies in general, I guess, here. Are you looking forward to the event and, you know, doing some 1v1 matches versus group race settings? Because I know you were in the Moogle's first tournament, right? That was a lot of 1v1 matches as well.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I've done so far Shadow, Locke, and Celeste Seed so far, so they're pretty interesting, like how everything's different. I mean, like it's very different settings, and it's just trying to get used to each one being different. So just looking at different levels, trying not to like level up too much where the bosses, as you see, garner like so many times from all of them.
Yeah, no thanks.
But I look forward to it. It's pretty interesting.
I'm a big fan of these flag sets.
Yeah, Keel, do you have any thoughts here on this the Coliseum 2 topic while we're on it?
No, I like, so I've been kind of sick of standard, like the standard race flags that we've been using, just because I don't know, the seeds feel kind of swingy and samey.
Yep.
And I just think any way to mix things up is really great. That's why I do like all that dev work, right?
Yep, for sure.
And I think these flag sets do a really good job with what's already there. So great job, everyone who put that together. Double down others. That's all I got.
Definitely. All right, cool. Well, you got any other final thoughts, Fly Eagles Fly, besides your wonderful 9-1 barely after last week football team?
Nah, like pretty interesting seed. So like if anybody's interested, sign up and run one of these and have fun with it. That's all I try to do, is have fun playing these seeds.
Awesome. Well, you know, perseverance, definitely. You were getting punched in the upper lip a few times from some of these bosses, and we definitely enjoyed the True Knight strats on Realm there. Big heads up play to do that with your Valiant Knife user as well.
Yeah, I kind of started doing that when I started going Valiant Knife strategies, is just have someone with like high HP have True Knight. Like I've had Omaro have it when Locke was using it, and seeing Realm use it with Shadow. So that's one thing that I learned with the Valiant Knife, is just to have someone be able to take those hits.
Daughter saving dad. It's beautiful poetry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for volunteering to be on stream, because we can't have races without our runners that volunteer. So appreciate you volunteering to be featured. And any other final thoughts before we let you go?
Nah, just pretty interesting. Thank you for the chance to run the seed.
Yeah, no problem. And well, I'm sure we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot.
See you around, Eagle.
Take it easy.
All right, so I think that's pretty much going to do it for us. Kilbasiago, any final thoughts on what you saw from the flag set and the race that we had?
No, I'm pretty excited for the Coliseum tournament. I don't think I'm going to participate myself, but I don't know. I just love watching these tournaments and like all the little storylines that you get out of these 1v1s.
Yep, if you do want to sign up, there is the link in the chat, in the forum. I think we've got about a week left before the signups close, because the tournament, the Coliseum 2 event, is starting towards the end of the month. I think November 27th is the first day that it starts. We'll have, I believe there's an async where the top 32 racers get seeded into an upper bracket, and everybody else gets into Chupan's pit, I think. There's a promo video about it somewhere. You could watch it. Yeah, I should know more things about this, right? But it should be a heck of a lot of fun. It's going to be great. And like I said, having 1v1 races really also involves a sort of meta game that we don't normally see with a lot of races, right? With Ultros League, you're racing against like 6 or 7 other people. So sometimes you're like, well, what would this person do? Right? And try and do the opposite of it. But chances are that somebody else is going to pick that strategy as well. Whereas in a 1v1, you could really like completely go a different way and do stuff that you normally would never do. Right? So it'll be fun to see some of those races. And hopefully we'll be streaming a lot of those races when they come up. So Wednesday, which is tomorrow, at 8 p.m. on one of the speed gaming channels. Actually, they might have even picked it. So let me see if they did pick it already. Nope, it's still undecided. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be doing the final for the November tournament of the month. That is the Vanilla Boss Rush. I had a lot of fun playing the Vanilla Boss Rush seeds. I don't know about you guys out there that have seen the races of it, where it's kind of like almost the antithesis of Worlds Collide, where all of the bosses have vanilla stats, they're in their vanilla spots, and you don't get XP from bosses. So you have to figure out some place to grind, right? So it's very interesting. You could almost make it like a Plando, if you will. So we'll see what our runners do for that. So that's tomorrow, Wednesday at 8 p.m. on one of the speed gaming channels. And if we have staff around, we'll probably get another stream going up on Saturday. So hopefully we'll see everybody then. And thank you again, Basiago, for jumping in and helping me out with commentary. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lovely. I guess I was here for about like 40 minutes. It's a lovely 40-minute Schwantz.
Yeah, the most important parts, the Kefka Tower parts, the parts that matter, you know?
Yeah.
So, but,
cool. Thanks for having me. I'll see you around, man.
No problem. Thanks. And let's see if there's anybody here that we'll catch you later, Keel. See if there's anybody else streaming. No, there is not. So unfortunately, no raids for tonight, but thank you for coming out and supporting our runners, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.